Hello, welcome to Philippine Bible Ministries update. In my room, in my house. Um, so let me show you this real quick. This is my little desk there. The printer's not hooked up yet. Um, anyway, this is the room. It's got an overhead fan there. It's got the AC in the corner over there, and yeah, we got this thing over there. The wardrobe. There's the bed. So this is where I'll be doing my stuff. So anyway, we're getting there. There's a lot going on. Unloading boxes. I told you we had 30 boxes, and we've unloaded. I don't know. I think 10, 12, some 12, maybe 13 boxes, something like that. And well, we found out a couple of things. Um, I was told that my house has been wired so that all I need to do is get something like this, which is an adapter, and I can plug in most appliances. But no, you need to have a step down converter plug. And I found that out because I had a DVD player, which luckily that wasn't the one that I was trying to plug in because I couldn't find the plug. It was actually an older one that had a VHS and a DVD, and I was trying to plug it in because it just, I don't know, put on a movie or something. Anyway, and when I plugged it when I plugged it in, it started smoke. Um, and also the fan did did the same thing. I had this one of those little tunnel fan, those little Honeywells, which they don't make those here, and it's the best fan in the world, by the way. If you ever need a fan, those little tunnel Honeywells, they're kind of hard to find even in the states now. Anyway, started smoking, so Uncle B, Uncle Bagoy, I call him T.O.B. He he started laughing. He goes, what else you got to plug in? That's fun. So I gave it to him so he could strip the copper out and sell it or something. Here we are in the Philippines. So today, when we ever they had to fix the gate, reweld the gate. There's some stuff the house needs to be fine tuned. We're adding some stuff. Um, it's just we're just figuring it out. It turns out I'm going to get the top of the line. I think it's U.S. made diesel generator because it's quieter, and one tank will go for like 7 hours. So, and they're going to install that in the back. So it's just going to be a push button because they have some issues here. So I will tell you this: the power company in the USA, they're all thieves too. Um, yeah, they're pretty much all thieves. Yeah, we are a public company. Yeah, sure you are. Sure you are. That's why you shut down Tenedo for it. It costs more to keep it shut down than it would to fix it and retro it. I'm not going to get into that political stuff for some of you. For me, it's not political. It's just common sense, but that's okay. Um, you know who you are. Anyway, here it's a little bit different. It's even worse in a way. They and I don't know if it's just that, everything's old. They don't have the right equipment, but power goes down. The other day it was down for 15 hours. It's funny as we're thinking this through. We're like, well, so far it's only got down for an hour here. It was down for 15 hours, and then it's got pretty bad. So what I found out from my builder, who's kind of upper middle class working, he knows everybody, the mayors, and he knows everybody to some degree. And he says, yeah, what happened with the power company is when the power goes down, instead of not getting charged for the power you're not using, they actually charge you for the repair and everything. That whatever it costs, they actually boost the bills up when the so you don't not only do you not have power for like 10 hours, but now you get to pay more for that. So I said, well, so they're being investigated by the authorities because they may be abusing their situation. Yeah, I told him it's the same in the U.S. Same song, different verse. They're still seeking. They're still whenever you put people in charge and money's involved, there's usually some chicanery going on somewhere, and then they just call it, well, it's in the public interest or whatever. Anyway, that's not why we're here. I just thought I'd throw that out there for you. Um, so anyway, so what I wanted to talk about today, besides all that, was I said we're actually building. So the house is built, right? And that actually became a secondary in the very beginning of all this. For those of you that haven't followed me through the whole process or haven't read any of the books or any of the stuff that's out there, um, Amazon.com, David Pinson. Anyway, if you haven't seen any of that stuff, it all started with the idea that we're going to sell our home in Escondido. We're going to take we're going to take some of the money and just pretend like we're rich for a couple of years, which we did. Not really rich, but like I was always poor. Not poor. I never had any extra money. I never had, like, it was always trying to make ends meet until the last few years of teaching. When at the end of the day, yeah, teachers in the beginning, they don't make a lot of money compared, but at the end of the day, they make pretty good money. They have all that time off, and a lot of them are making six figures, and you don't make much money. Yeah, it's terrible. And then you marry another teacher, you have all the time. It's not really such a bad gig, to be honest with you. Of all the gigs I've had, it was the best. But the idea was to, and so we set some money aside, and I was like buying stuff. So it's kind of like you want to buy something for $20, buy it instead of going, I don't know, $20. So kind of live that way for a bit. The scripture says that, Paul says, I've learned to be poor and I've learned to be rich. I've learned to have nothing. I've learned to have everything. I've learned to suffer pain and I've learned to be in comfort. And so I think, and that's also in Ecclesiastes, you'll find it in different places, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, where you kind of, I had never experienced that. So I got to experience that. I wouldn't say just to be comfortable, for a while. And I guess I still am in a lot of ways. Very comfortable. Americans are very comfortable, even though we don't. That's why we complain about first world problems, because we don't have to worry about certain things. So anyway, the idea was to take a chunk of money, like a large chunk of money that we got what we sold during all that craziness. A pretty good deal on the house that hadn't had that long and hadn't, wasn't a huge lifetime investment where I was able to walk away $300,000. But half the money goes to the house, which is going to be Josie's. She's a lot younger than me. Yeah, it's true. And maybe someday it's going to be hers, family house or whatever. And the other half is for the ministry building. And so the ministry at the beginning, we still don't have it all defined. So the ministry is sort of like, what does that mean, the ministry? Well, God says that the purpose of preachers and teachers and the purpose of those people is to build up the people. And then I say it's to go make disciples. So to build up disciples to make disciples. Not necessarily in a church setting where one guy's up there pontificating and everybody's just looking at him, looking at the back of your necks. No, no. Situation where people are interacting with other people, and like you do in a family. Or really, the best way to learn is to sit around and ask questions and have conversations. The best way to learn for most of us is not to sit and get lectured to, right? Because that way the preacher, the pastor, has ultimate power. They have a veto power. They say what they want, and in a large church, you're not even going to have a chance to talk to them about it. So they pretty much have total control. And I'm not sure that was ever. More of that later. There's a little book coming out about that. I'm not sure if that was ever God's full plan. I mean, it's sort of worked out that way. A lot of people have been blessed over the years. It's been great. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure that's the best idea, because you just get fed every Sunday. Like, what are you going to turn into, a big, large thing that's been fed a lot, right? Instead of interacting with people, we do that once a month. We have a meal. It's like, that's great. Why don't you do it every day? Why aren't we engaging? Why are we in a situation anyway? There I go. I'm going off on a sidetrack. So anyway, the ministry per se is a separate issue. And just to be honest with you, that's not mine. So whatever we're building there someday, I don't know that the legacy is going to be not a Pinson, because that would be against everything I believe in. I don't believe in the pastor and the pastor's son takes over and da 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 da. Kingdoms. I don't believe in earthly kingdoms with steeples. I don't believe in that. Right? I don't believe even to put a man's name on it. At the end of the day, it's Jesus. It's not Martin Luther. It's not anybody. It's not Chuck Smith. It's not anybody. It's Jesus, right? And it's really not even a building. It's the people. So we're building a building down there. That's why it's a separate issue. And in the meantime, until we figure out the next part of what happens when I'm gone, at least for the next few years, we're actually going to be living there on the beach. And that's what I'm going to be doing my thing mostly. This house will be here. Mama's going to live here. I don't know who else, probably family members. It'll be open to visitors. So we get missionaries or other people come want to visit us. We got a cool, nice place for you. We'll also have some space down there. But so that's the point of building this building. And we weren't able to get a section of the land, but we do have a little section to walk in next to the church, which that's not my church. Those are just friends of mine. We gave them land because they lost theirs. They lost their place. They lost their home. And so that's just a friend of ours. I don't really. The other thing I'm not here to do, I'm not here to support the churches or deny the churches. I'm here to support the believers in the churches. It doesn't matter to me if those churches flourish or founder, because I'm not about planning churches. To me, that's been one of the problems. It's the churches, the organizations. they sort of feed off each other. And in the U.S., they have a big deal where who can grow the. There's actually a very famous guy. I won't name his name, but um, I'm not a fan because he merchandises making big churches. And everything is done in a program. And even other guys that I appreciate, 35 days to this and 40 days to that, and that's all. To me, that's all a bunch of nonsense. Like, yeah, God did send Jesus out in the wilderness for 40 days, but then he didn't say, and now you need to have a 40-day plan for everything. No, God will choose the days. And anyway, here I go. I'm kind of going off on all these rabbit holes, but that's what I do. I don't really plan these things out. I just sort of open it up, and here we are. So we're excited about our new home. To somewhat, there's so much work on opening up, and we have so much stuff. And one quick thing, maybe two. So as we're getting ready, we know that naturally ministry happens in your life. If you're a believer, it just happens. People come to your life and you're like, come on over, and you start doing things. And hopefully you quit talking about how bad the world is and how bad the politics are and blah, blah, blah. Spend all your time on that. And hopefully you start talking about the Lord and the things of God. And so we have these two little girls that have been basically adopted us, and they're here all the time. And so, they're 11 years old, and I remember for me that was a horrible, horrible, horrible age. And when I taught middle school, that was like the worst thing I ever did. It was worse than special ed. I only did it for like a couple of years at a Christian school, and that was like, that's calling, brother, because those kids are something else. Anyway, but when God gives you a I'm sure I can hear my friend, my missionary mentor. I could hear him in the back of my mind say, "Well, what'd you expect? That's missions, bro. You don't have any time. There's no like we got to lock the gate because they're going to show up and they're going to be here. What am I going to do? Well, what am I going to do? I'm going to teach them what I came to here to teach, and here and there, and set boundaries and teach them how to be a person as best as I know and follow the Lord. And I think I've always thought, Joji and I, we have a gift with children. We know that it's obvious wherever we go. I've always thought I had a gift with men, but I think maybe not because, in some ways, children are easier than men because even though they both are equally as not as I don't want to say the word ignorant, but they both need a lot of help. Men maybe more so. At least children know it. It's the most of it I know, especially the Christian men that have been around a while and read the Bible a couple times, or even parts of the Bible a few times. It's really hard to get through to them. They know everything, so at least most of the kids are open. So I think, so I still like to minister to men, but to me, it's more like I hit them upside the head with a sledgehammer, because that's what I need. And so maybe there's a few that are real soft and gentle and just take everything in. But I'm sure I'm speaking to a few watching the video right now. You know who you are, that you want to kick against everything somebody says, especially if it goes against your theology. Like I was told I have a crazy theology. I said, yeah, it's called biblical theology. And it is crazy. It's radical because basically it's not about you or your life or your retirement or your toys or your things you want to do and you want God to bless. No, it's about giving everything up for him. And that is radical and that is different. You don't hear that from a lot of pulpits. You hear the mouth part of it, but you don't see it, right? So anyway, I think I spoke way too long today. I love you guys and I miss you guys. And, feel free to send me an email. I got a buddy, name's Mark. I'll call him out right now, Mark. And, we don't always agree on everything, but he's a real sharp guy. He's a scholar. He says he wouldn't say he was a scholar, but I say he is. And he always likes to listen to scholars, and I'm not going to get into that. We'll talk about that later. I'm not a person who generally enjoys those type of people, but he sharpens me. He sharpens me, and he gets me to think, and that's what I love. Because I have no one here to talk to except my wife, and she's so dang busy. I don't even get to talk to her. So God's really placed me in a place where I have to be. This is the only chance I get to talk, and I'm talking to myself pretty much. Anyway, I love you guys. God bless, and pray for the entrance. Turns out we're still trying to get a little lot in front of the property so we don't have to go through this little side to get into the ministry building, which is going to be called the House of Prayer. Jesus said, my house was supposed to be a house of prayer, not a den of thieves. More on that later. Anyway, I love you guys, and God bless. And TTFN, which in case you don't know, you're Tigger. That comes from my friend Tigger. TTFN, love you guys. God bless. Bye-bye.